we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you a special presentation of
Two Nerds, a podcast. Your home for everything movies, music, video games, and everything in between. With your hosts, Bunny the Bruiser, and Dynamite Jared Latching.
How is it going, everyone, friends and family from around the globe? This is the premier podcast on the internet, Two Nerds, a podcast. I am...
And I'm...
Who? Who are we?
Dynamite.
What are we doing?
Dynamite.
Who are we?
I'm Dynamite Buddy.
Dynamite Buddy, and I
Yeah.
am Craig Williams.
Yeah. Is that the guy from Chiodos? Or no, it's Craig Owens.
That's Craig Owens.
Okay.
Craig Williams popped in my mind.
Okay. All right.
So, what's going on, brother?
Not much. We got an action-packed show for you guys this week after taking 2 weeks off to really...
They still had shows.
They still had shows. We crammed 2 episodes recording into one day a couple weeks ago so we could take a vacation and not have to see each other for a while because it was just getting a little too tense.
Yeah,
In
the sexual tension was far too great in the studio.
It was starting to cause a problem in our personal relationships. But we're back now, and we have a great show for you guys today. We're going to talk about the greatest Royal Rumble.
It was the greatest one I've ever seen.
We're going
in
to
my
talk
life.
about we're going to talk about the new Venom trailer.
Yes.
And before we go any further, we are not going to talk about Avengers Infinity War.
Because we have not seen it yet.
We have not seen it, and we have not seen
I've not seen any
Avengers 2
I've not seen any movie since
or
Avengers
Marvel
1.
Civil War.
I did see Black Panther. That's the only one I've seen since the original Avengers. And that was like, what, 2011? Something like that.
We have not seen Spider-Man Homecoming.
We have not. No.
We have seen nothing. We don't watch movies. But before we get into any of that, this past Friday, well, not this past Friday, because that was yesterday, the day of the greatest Royal Rumble, and I know you wouldn't schedule anything to interfere with your viewing of the greatest
correct.
Royal Rumble.
That is correct. It was must-see television.
Yeah, but the Friday before that, I believe, you did a screening for your magnum opus of your young career.
Oh, yeah. I did do a screening of that. That is the thing that happened. I forgot about that.
Unlucky!
Yes.
At Lakeside, how'd your screening go?
It went okay. It was decent.
Sold out house. You played the sold out house.
Sold out house,
packed
man.
audience, standing ovation.
Yeah.
How'd the Q&A go?
It was interesting. I don't know. A lot of people just had questions about, like, oh, how do you guys pick scripts? And just, like, nothing was, like, specific, like, to the movie. It was all... Most of the Q&A was about filmmaking in general, so
nobody
which
cared
is fine.
about nobody cared about the movie.
No, some people asked about the movie, but I'm just saying the majority of the people there were like students that want to pursue this. So
Nobody was like, how'd you come up with this particular joke that I thought was the
Correct.
strongest of the film?
Yes, that did not occur.
Okay. I was at work, and I've already seen the movie, so there's no way in hell I was going to see it again.
Yeah.
And I was at work, so... I'll just stick with that, the first excuse.
That's fine.
I was at work. Okay, so the screening went well. You made a ton of money, sold out house.
Sold out house, yeah.
Yes, and now your next screening is in what, Germany?
It's actually in New Delhi.
New Delhi.
Yes.
Okay. All right, buddy, the Korean War is over.
It is. It's about time.
It ended yesterday.
All the guys in MASH can come home.
After... How many years? It's been 50-some years?
50-some years, yeah.
50-some years of bloodshed and shit-talking, mostly shit-talking.
Yes.
The Korean War is over. Kim Jong-un and the other guy, they shook hands, they held hands, slightly homosexual, crossing of the borders. Dennis Rodman was not there, unfortunately. And there's peace in Asia once again for the time being.
For the time being. Yes. We will see what happens.
So, that's great news. But some other great news is the war that went down, the war that started in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia yesterday. It ended already.
Yeah, it's over.
It was a war fought with 50 men.
50 men.
A battle for themselves. You could say an everyone for themselves battle. And you could say that maybe each man represented a state of the United States.
I never thought of that. Oh, man.
It was the greatest Royal Rumble, buddy.
Was certainly the greatest one in my lifetime that I have witnessed.
It was. It was one of the greatest WWE events
Of all time.
Of all time.
I definitely...
Not at all overhyped.
No,
Not at all. Like, anyone that says this is overhyped, you probably didn't even watch the event.
Yeah.
Or the hype leading up to it. It was very underhyped. I did not know that I was going to be receiving a grandiose house show.
Yes, I did not know I was receiving
I thought
the most over-budget house show
of all time.
Of all time.
Yeah, broadcasted live to the network. This was just an absolute landmark achievement in the history of professional wrestling house shows.
It was very newsworthy. A lot of groundbreaking title changes. A lot of, man, it was can't miss television.
Man, are we talking about NXT Takeover?
Shit, are we? Are we?
We might have clicked on the wrong event on the WWE Network page because I'm looking at the results right now and there's not a single title change.
Not a single title change. There was a title win by a vacant belt, but no, there were no changes.
No title change. They couldn't even be bothered to change the cruiserweight title.
That is correct. Could not even be bothered.
The cruiserweight, the title that nobody cares about, and they couldn't even change that one.
No.
There were some controversial finishes. That was about as newsworthy as it gets.
What controversial finishes are you talking about?
Well, let's take a look at the finish of that steel cage match, shall we?
So
I believe the rule is the man whose 2 feet touch the ground first, and this has always been the rule.
Yes, this has always been the rule.
And Michael Cole, I believe, stated that several times during the match, and even once after the match.
Yes, after it had completed, and we saw that was not the case.
Roman Reigns' feet actually hit the ground before Brock Lesnar.
This is true.
Brock Lesnar's back and shoulders, I would argue, don't even hit the ground because the cage is still separated.
He's on the cage, yeah.
So, what the fuck happened here?
The ending didn't go according to plan. It was supposed to be Brock's feet hit first, but when you're taking a spear through a thing, I mean, obviously your body might not land the way you're expecting. So
the replay,
Roman's hit first.
There's
no doubt about it.
The replay looked brutal. The replay was probably the best part of the whole match.
Yes.
Just seeing Brock's recoil off the ground, like he bounces off the ground. Do you think this was better than their WrestleMania encounter?
I mean, it was a match. The other one was finisher kickouts.
This one was basically finisher kickouts as well. Maybe a little bit more, but there were a lot of finishers here. This match started out immediately with 3 or 4 suplexes right off the bat, goes right into an F5.
Yeah.
So we're not even
No, but I'm saying that this
we're not even 2 minutes into the match and we've already got a finisher thrown out there. Reigns speared Lesnar 3 times. 4 or 5 Superman punches. What's even more hilarious about this match is that Michael Cole kept score.
He did, and he kept saying it over again.
He kept saying it. They kept just throwing the fact in your face that, hey, this match was basically all finishers.
Yeah. But the thing that sets it, I think, made it better than the Mania, not the finish, but the thing that made the match itself more entertaining than the Mania match was the steel cage stipulation, because at least they were climbing the cage at one point trying to get out, and stuff like that didn't happen at Mania. The only thing that happened at Mania that wasn't finisher kickouts was the blood and throwing Reigns at a table. And that's about it.
Yeah, I got kind of confused for a second there when Brock was climbing the cage and Roman came up to get the thing. And I was like, Brock's not going to take a bump off the
Yeah.
top of the cage. Are you fucking kidding me?
He was doing it I think Roman was a little late on his cue because Brock was kind of hesitating a little bit at the top.
Yeah, he could have jumped out at any point in time. So
Yeah.
that match, I would say maybe about on par with their WrestleMania match.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I preferred this one a little bit, but
I prefer this one more because maybe the finish wasn't so like plain to see ahead of time, and then when they changed the finish at Mania, it wasn't shock for most people. It was mostly like it was like a head scratch for me.
It was like, why?
I was like, huh? Like, I couldn't even be excited that Brock won. I was just like, what?
Yeah, why did that happen?
Yeah, so in this one, I had no idea who was going to win, so maybe that added a little bit more drama to it.
Because the rumor was that since this was in Saudi Arabia, the audience would be a lot more accepting if Reigns would have theoretically won, but this was a house show, so they're not changing.
Here's
belts.
here's the interesting thing about this. What happens with Reigns here? Does he win or lose against Samoa Joe at Backlash?
Again, like, it could go either way. The booking hasn't made sense in a while for most matches, so it could go either way. It'll probably be Reigns, but I mean, either way, neither of the two.
Are they giving up on Reigns? Is he not the guy anymore?
I mean, it kind of seems that way, but I don't think so because he's walking down in Saudi Arabia. They're blowing the fireworks up outside. They're giving him all this elaborate. I mean, I don't know. He's going on after the WWE title. He's main eventing everything.
But that could be because his opponent is Brock Lesnar, and he keeps losing to Lesnar, and this time it wasn't a decisive loss, but he speared Lesnar out of the cage. Okay, and technically by traditional rules he actually won the match, but but here's my thing. Does anyone at this point, especially with this feud, actually believe that even if there was no escape the cage stipulation, but there was still a cage and Lesnar takes the same exact bump and everything, does anyone actually believe that Lesnar isn't kicking out of that?
Probably not.
I
don't know.
Especially with this feud, I'd say that there's about a 99.9% chance that Lesnar's kicking out of that exact bump.
Yeah.
But regardless,
what do you do? You think the Roman experiment is over? Because I don't. But do you think it's over?
I mean, I don't.
All I know is
I don't think it's over. I really don't. But I think they're starting to lean that way, and I'm starting more and more especially after last night. I'm starting to believe that the way that Lesnar is going to drop the title is that he's going to get these hands.
Could be.
I mean,
as we know, it only takes one F5 to put Braun Strowman away. So I don't know.
That booking can be changed, though. You know, but Strowman. Here's my thing with Braun Strowman. Now, okay, before we go any further, for those of you that didn't watch, Braun Strowman won the greatest Royal Rumble.
Should have just been called the largest Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
not the greatest.
Biggest Royal Rumble.
Yes.
But there were some good performances in there. I'm not upset that Daniel Bryan lost because his performance stood out, and it was probably, in my opinion, the greatest Royal Rumble. And they say it on the show, but it doesn't. You really need to see it to kind of believe it. I think without a doubt, this is the greatest. Instead of being the greatest Royal Rumble, but this was the greatest Royal Rumble performance ever in a match by Daniel Bryan, because he beat Rey Mysterio's record. He's now the all-time leading
time in a single Rumble.
Time in a single Rumble with an hour and 15 minutes.
Something around that
I believe.
Yeah.
He punched in and really came to work tonight or last night and or yesterday for us.
Yeah.
But here's the big difference here is that he beat Rey Mysterio's record handily.
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio was like 1 hour and 6 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So he beat him by freaking 9 minutes or whatever. When you watch older Royal Rumbles and some of the standout performances, because there's always the guy that's like in there for a long time. Every Royal Rumble has this guy that's just the warrior and is going through all the way to the end. Ric Flair at I think the third Royal Rumble, he comes in at number 3 or 4 or whatever, and he wins the thing.
That was what, like 92?
Something. I don't know. Rey Mysterio, I don't really remember his performance. But anyways, my point is, there's usually always this guy that's doing this. He's the kind of the Iron Man of the Royal Rumble, the MVP, whatever. But I'm never particularly impressed with them because they spend 90% of the match just sitting in the corner, or a lot of the times they've been tossed in through the middle rope, and then they're outside just laying there for like
a half hour
or whatever, and then they come back in and like, oh my God, he's been in this match for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan, now, well, I'm not going to sit here and say that he didn't sell and he didn't take his breaks in the corner or outside the ring, but
a lot of
from what I could see, this guy was in there mixing it up for most of the match. He was in there throwing European uppercuts at pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
And it was great to see when guys like Strowman and those guys came in. Daniel Bryan didn't back down from them. Yeah. And he went after Braun Strowman.
At the end,
he went after Bobby Lashley. He went after everybody. So Daniel Bryan, I'm not mad that he lost, because the way that he lost builds heat for his feud with Big Cass.
Which was because I knew going in that Bryan probably wasn't going to win, and it was going to be with Cass because that's the story they're going with right now.
Also, he had the visual too.
Yeah, with
his chest, and even underneath his arm, he had like a huge bruise there.
Yeah.
But anyways, here's my thing with Braun Strowman, because he's getting over, right?
Well, he's been over.
He's been over.
But
I don't know.
He's continuing.
I wouldn't say that he's over.
No, he's not all the way over, but he's over.
But he's over. Here's my thing with Braun Strowman. He gets his pretty decent pops, and the crowd is usually in awe of him and everything. But you're literally cheering him for the same reason that you're booing Roman Reigns. He's pretty much essentially the same fucking thing as this big guy that Vince likes, and you can tell that he fucking likes him. And
it's kind of goofy at some points.
Kind of goofy. He can't really talk. Has he been cutting great promos or anything?
No, it's just kind of.
He's not a great worker. I would venture to say. Actually, I won't venture to say. I'll just state a fact right now: is that at this point in their careers, Roman Reigns is a better worker than Braun Strowman is.
I'd agree, and I don't even think Braun Strowman, like as far as like big men, like wrestlers go, I wouldn't even say like Braun in his prime was like as good as like Big Show was when he was doing like moonsaults and stuff.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I don't think any big man was ever like that. I would say that like the two most athletic big guys that we've ever seen is like Big Show and Kane.
Yeah.
But Braun Braun Strowman basically fucking conquers pretty much everything he's pushed the same exact way as Reigns. The only difference is that he couldn't kick out of one F5.
Yeah.
But he's a babyface now. People are popping for him. And I see so many parallels between him and Roman Reigns. And I was under the impression that it was just like, you're shoving this guy down our throat. Mm-hmm. We don't want him. And that was it. Well, Braun Strowman's being shoved down people's throats too, but they're like him, totally taking it.
Yeah.
I guess you could say it, people like him. I don't really know what's that likable about him. Do you?
I don't know. I mean, not particularly.
Is he over with you?
I mean, I don't dislike him. I'm not crazy about him. Like, I think he's okay.
I mean, I think I'm with that there right now where I don't dislike him, but I'm not like... Like, the thing here is that, you see him...
See, I will say that
it would be one thing if Big Cass didn't get Daniel Bryan out.
Yeah.
Do you think in the States, if they're in the States, okay, not
And
Saudi Arabia, and Braun Strowman throws Daniel Bryan out, what do you think the crowd reaction is?
I mean, depending on where they are that night, it could be mixed. But for the most part, I think unhappy. Because Bryan is, to an extent, all the way over. So
do you
have
think
a guy
that he's ever going to be used the way that the crowd basically forced WWE to use him near the end of his first run?
I think it's possible. If they would have moved him to Raw, he could be feuding with Brock soon, but he's still on SmackDown. So.
I would love to see a match between him and Brock. I don't think it's ever going to happen at this point, though.
Probably not.
Maybe Brock's just a little bit too physical for him.
Yeah.
I've noticed that he has... One of his criticisms coming back was that people were saying he hasn't altered his ring style. And it may seem like that on the surface, but I noticed one thing that he altered, at least last night. Now, I haven't been watching SmackDown or anything.
From when he came back in 2012? Or like...
No, when he came back recently.
Oh, okay, all right.
He's doing those ring post drop kicks now, and as opposed to just kind of flipping onto the mat.
You're talking about Dan. I thought you were talking about Brock.
No,
I was like,
no.
I was like, what are you talking about?
No.
Okay.
Brock's changed his style.
But that's why I'm like, what are you talking?
He's changed his style immensely.
Yeah, but Daniel Bryan. Yeah, I understand what you mean.
So now when Daniel Bryan does these corner drop kicks, now he's grabbing onto the rope and using them as leverage to kind of flip himself around, and he's landing on his feet.
Yeah.
And not like his back or sometimes the back of his neck like he would probably
like he used
do.
to.
Kurt Angle went for the German on him. He flipped through it and landed on his knees and stuff. I don't know. Sometimes it seems like he's being careful with the bumps that he's taken. Other times he's taking fucking ring apron power bombs on his first night back in the business. So, I mean, who knows? And he did take a nasty pop-up from Kevin Owens in the middle of the Rumble last night.
Yeah.
The match itself was fun, I guess.
At times, it was fun.
It was all right. I wish that...
I wish at times there were some better people in it. Like, I thought a lot of the NXT call-up they did were kind of, like, disposable. Like, they could have called up...
That guy from Heavy Machinery was... I'd say that Roderick Strong was probably their only good one.
Well, he's the one that did the Brian Chess thing. Well, that's what it's credited to.
What did he do?
I can't remember, but after...
Does he have heat for it?
I don't know. I know after the match, they did, like, a post-match thing with Brian on YouTube. He's like, oh, yeah, I saw my... boy Roderick Strong, as you can tell, like pointing to his chest, and he's like laughing about it. He's like an old rival from 2009. So I was like on my phone at some point, and then when I started watching it again, like his chest was all messed up, so I didn't know what the hell happened. But in that post thing, they said Brian said it was Roderick Strong that did whatever it was to him. So
Jesus, yeah, he looked like hell. At the end of that. But, I mean, those are battle scars. Daniel Bryan wears them with pride.
Yeah.
It's all part of... That guy loves getting his ass kicked. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. Were there any people you thought you'd see in the match that did not come besides Hogan?
I was going to say Hogan. I thought 50 was going to be Hogan, but then I forgot that Jericho hadn't come out yet.
Yeah.
I thought Jericho was wasted in there. I thought that he could have came in a little bit earlier and lasted a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to sit there and predict people coming in.
There were people like on the main roster that weren't even in there yet, and they were bringing up like because Drew McIntyre wasn't there.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn wasn't there.
Yeah.
But
There was one particular face-off. Oh, that I saw. Okay, Daniel Bryan versus Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
And we already talked about it, but he flipped through and landed on his knees and all that stuff. And I really thought that there was a missed opportunity to really have like a stare down between those guys. Because when they started going at it, it was awesome. It popped the Saudi Arabia crowd, but they didn't focus on it until later. I think that the commentators were supposed to focus on it because the camera switched over to it and Michael Cole was still talking about something that was happening on the other side of the ring. But then he immediately, kind of mid-sentence was like, and Daniel Bryan and Kurt Angle!
Yeah.
Oh my God, these are two all-time greats right here, And so, it is. It's two all-time greats going at it. And I'd really like to see a match between those two in the future.
Okay, so the greatest thing that probably
also,
happened...
there's history there too. By the way, them both being general managers. Daniel Bryan not a general manager anymore. But I mean, they were kind of rival general managers for a while.
Because it was rumored that Kurt Angle's the one that set up that surprise attack by Kane, before Survivor Series and all that. So there was a story there. But yeah. We're going to talk about Titus. I was going to say the greatest moments of the greatest Royal Rumble.
Oh, man. It kind of made me, cringe a little bit watching it as opposed to laugh because I just feel bad for him.
Yeah.
He's already a comedy act as it is. But this is him now. He's never going to escape this. Yeah. This is Titus O'Neil's career in WWE.
Yeah.
Any hope of him ever moving on and becoming a main eventer or anything, when there was very little hope to begin with.
Yeah.
It was basically a lock that it was never going to happen. But maybe he's got a good physique and stuff. Maybe Vince could look at him one day and be like, you know what?
He had a U.S. title push for a minute.
We'll give you a shot. All right? It's never going to happen now. Now he's the Shockmaster too.
Yes, this is true. Although it wasn't a debut, so it wasn't as ridiculous.
No.
But
the
Shockmaster!
He didn't come busting through a wall and fall. But it was pretty much the Shockmaster, the sequel.
Yeah. See, and I saw that on Twitter when I was at work before it happened, because this happened during the day, so we watched it way later. So I saw it on Twitter.
The meme made me laugh.
Yeah.
The meme made me laugh, but the actual event didn't because...
First, they didn't even show it at the beginning because they weren't anticipating it, and then the commentators just oh my god, Titus O'Neil's under the ring, and then it did the replay, because that wasn't even on the main...
Did that just happen? And then they just kept showing the replay, kept showing it and showing it and showing it.
The commentators lost their shit for 10 minutes.
Oh, it popped the commentators big time. It popped Michael Cole especially. He was fucking wow. It's never going to end now. This is Titus O'Neil's career.
That's just going to be how he's going to enter the ring every time now.
It's basically, they're going to make a gimmick out of it now. They're going to set up a water slide for him to come down to the ring from now on. Oh, man. It's funny, but Jesus Christ, this is a man's fucking...
his career.
This is a man's career we're talking about here, his well-being. And he wasn't in the best of positions to begin with.
Right.
So, damn. Titus O'Neil. Shinsuke Nakamura
versus
AJ Styles. And you know what? They had a pretty good little match this time.
Yeah, it was decent. The end, I'm not a fan of the ending.
The ending is probably the worst part of the match. But I will say this about the match, is that the match I thought was very strong leading up to that finish.
Yes,
and the finish left people wanting more of this feud. That's exactly what the WrestleMania match pretty much didn't do.
Right.
I didn't want to see more of it. I was intrigued to see what would happen because of the low blow after, but the actual match...
The match
itself...
This match was way better than the Mania one.
Yeah, I liked this match more, I think Shinsuke is feeling a little bit more comfortable in the heel character.
Yeah.
I like that they're actually calling him the King of Strong Style a little bit more now.
Do you like the new music?
No. I don't like the new music. Did that debut last night?
No, it was on
SmackDown?
SmackDown, and like they released the music video for it like over the weekend, last weekend, with the Japanese like band doing it.
I don't like the music, but at the same time I understand
It's the no speak English, man. You gotta have a Japanese theme. The crowd can't sing along because the main melody isn't as noticeable anymore.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that
it's
he's
but it's
a heel
underneath
now, but you don't want the crowd to start
singing
you know how they do.
Yeah.
With him, the main melody's there.
It's
but
underneath.
It's very covered up now, and it's you got the Japanese rap or whatever's going on there, and
But when he turns face again and goes back to his old theme, they're gonna go bananas.
Do you think that they will go back to the old theme at this point?
After maybe like a year or two?
Is this kind of like the disturbed version of Stone Cold's?
It'll always come back.
Music theme, and so like, and do you think Nakamura is going to turn babyface?
Like it'll probably take a year or two, but yeah, I can see.
I can't see you keeping him heel forever, but I do like the idea of making him a heel. I like it a lot more now that I see what's going on with it, and the idea of kind of establishing what he's all about in a way that they did not do when he first debuted on the main roster.
Yeah.
And when he debuted and the commentators really wanted to drive home the fact that he's charismatic, he's weird, you know what I mean?
And he wasn't really doing anything.
He's an artist, blah, blah, blah. Nobody really wanted to drive home the fact that this guy hits hard. This guy is, he's vicious in the ring. He's all that stuff. Because that's what strong style is all about. And if you're the king of strong style, you're going to get in the ring, you're going to
beat some
You're going to
people
try
up.
and kick somebody's head right off their body, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think it added a layer of physicality to the match that just wasn't there.
I agree.
Before, and I like this. It's going to make Nakamura seem tougher and more physical, more of a badass than he was. And then when he turns babyface again, you can fall back on like that. Yeah, the crowd loves him, but the crowd loves him because he's a badass.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
kind of like that Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean? The crowd likes Lesnar because he's a badass. They were saying on the on a podcast I was listening to, was it Jericho? It was Jericho, actually.
Do you see there's a new Talking Shop? I haven't listened to it yet. It came out yesterday.
I fucking love Talking Shop. But hell yeah, man. So Jericho said, first off, Jericho said he could get Reigns over as a babyface. I don't think even Chris Jericho could do it. He said it's going to take a heel that wants to be a heel, not like the cool guy heel. And then he used two examples of guys that maybe like aren't actively trying to not be heel, but they're booked as heels, but they can't get booed for the life of them. Mm-hmm. Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar. Why won't you boo Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar? Well, he's
they're
tough.
good. Yeah.
He kicks ass and he doesn't lose. Like, what's heel about that? What's to boo about a tough guy who's a badass? He kicks ass. He doesn't lose. Now Samoa Joe loses, but he's still tough and he kicks ass and he cuts badass promos too. Where
he does.
I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah.
I hope Samoa Joe goes over at Backlash.
I would hope so, but like I said, we'll see. I don't know.
I want Samoa Joe over, and let's see a feud between Samoa Joe and Daniel Bryan. How about that?
That'd be a good one.
That'd be great. Let's get Daniel Bryan. This feud with Big Cass will probably go Backlash, and then maybe one more pay-per-view.
I don't even know if we would go past that.
You don't think so?
I think it'll just...
Do you think Bryan's going over at Backlash?
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
I
First, one-on-one, like, high-profile match, yeah.
The thing that concerns me is Bryan himself. I don't question WWE booking. I think that they understand that there's more money in Daniel Bryan than there is ever in Big Cass. And pushing Bryan strong, keeping him strong, even if you're not going to put him in the main event picture. But on him being on SmackDown, I don't see a way that you could book a whole year of programming without putting Daniel Bryan in the title picture, at least for a few months.
That's true.
I'd say with Nakamura potentially going over at Backlash, I don't think that you could have AJ retain again.
I don't think so. No, I think because I thought it was gonna.
If Nakamura loses again,
He's dead.
it's done. And then you turn him heel for nothing, and you've basically sent the message that we're never giving this guy a shot.
Yeah.
We're never going to see what he can do with a belt. So
I would imagine he would have. I mean, they gave him a new theme. They're making him evil. I mean, like, it's got to have some sort of payoff because it's like, why are you doing it?
yeah. And again, I still question. I hope that they're not sitting here saying what they say about a lot of their baby faces is that, oh, he's not connecting with the crowd or whatever.
Yeah.
I hope that the logic wasn't that he's not connecting with the crowd, so we're going to turn him heel, because he obviously was.
Yeah.
The crowd loves Nakamura. They still do.
Even though he was booked horrendously in his first year.
That's my thing with WWE booking, that they'll always fall back on this idea that if the crowd isn't 100% behind somebody, which with Nakamura I would venture to say that they were, even with the terrible booking.
Yeah.
But or like the storylines aren't working out right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel right. Well, you're writing the fucking storylines.
Yeah.
And you have these guys that the crowd likes, and you want to book them to lose. You want to write them into weird storylines. It just doesn't make any sense. Enough about that.
I do have one more thing, because
Okay.
I don't know if I missed it or it just came out of nowhere. But, so the end of the match was the double count out. Why did AJ flip out and not, like, put him back in the ring? Was there, like, any motive behind
It
that?
seemed like his anger kind of came out of nowhere. Now,
Because that's what I was like,
the whole
this is
story
out
of the feud is that he's pissed off. He keeps getting hit in the balls.
of...
So I mean, that would piss anybody off. And AJ's a family man. I'm sure he wants to have more kids one day.
Get more tattoos on his side, more birthdays.
But I don't think that that's possible anymore. I think Nakamura's taken away
His ability.
his fertility.
Yeah.
And so that maybe he realized that halfway through the match. And he was just like, you know what? You've basically made me sterile. Fuck you, man. And really started to beat his ass.
Because in a way, like, it doesn't matter because it's champion's advantage if it's a count out. I mean, you don't lose the title. But I don't know. If to me, like, the anger just seemed like it came out of nowhere.
It made him seem heelish at a point.
Yeah.
And I was like, are they going to do the fucking double turn already? You only had Nakamura as a fucking heel for like
3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks. It really came off like AJ being a prick.
Yeah.
And the announcers tried to sell it like, AJ's fed up. He's doing this. He got low blowed, I feel like, 10 minutes before that whole thing even happened.
Yeah.
So, like, they were still going back and forth on the ring a little bit after he got low blowed.
Yeah.
And then finally they got out of the ring. The count out happened. And then AJ's throwing him over the barricade, hitting him with steel chairs, and just really taking him out the pasture.
Yeah. But yeah, it seemed like it went out of nowhere. Any other thoughts about the Royal Rumble? I mean, that's really the only 3 matches we really watched all the way through. I saw a little bit of the ladder match when I was
really
at work.
disappointed. A lot of What Culture videos, and maybe I shouldn't rely on them.
They're trash. Watch Cultaholic instead. But they're the original What Culture guys that left and then made their better channel.
I don't mind a lot of What Culture videos. That's the problem. But this whole event was very hyped.
Oh yeah.
Very hyped by WWE. Like, it was a can't miss event.
And nothing happened.
It was totally missable. Nothing of note happened. I bet you won't even see this title belt that Braun Strowman got on Raw or any pay-per-views.
No, probably not.
Up.
I think that's about it.
So no titles changed hands. There's really just no reason to watch this. If you missed it,
then you're fine.
Unless
you're
unless you're just craving some wrestling matches that like some halfway decent ring work, then I guess
go for it. But there's nothing newsworthy about it.
Nothing newsworthy about it. So that was just disappointing that we thought that it was going to be this big newsworthy show. I will say that the atmosphere was kind of strange. You get that shot of the crowd in the front row, and it was a lot of people just standing up and walking around.
I know during the AJ Styles match, there was a guy, I don't know if it was like wine in the glasses, but he had like wine glasses. They might have been filled with water, but it was like a waiter like walking through like during the match. I was like, oh, this is different.
I just kept seeing people get up and walk around.
It was very more
and stuff.
It was casual.
And obviously, the guys in the front were
like the royalty or whatever.
Yeah, they were all wearing their turbans and whatever. And then they're more casual wear people were up in the higher levels.
Yeah.
But it was kind of an odd atmosphere.
Well, we're getting 9 more of them, so.
In Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, they booked for the next 10 years. I don't know if it'll always be the greatest Royal Rumble, but it'll be 10 shows of that scale, like after Mania, like for the next 10 years.
Well, if it's a yearly thing, then I don't see why they didn't. I can't see why they didn't do at least one title change to show, like, hey,
this is a big deal.
This is a big show. Newsworthy things can happen on this show.
The internet was on two sides. They said every belt was going to flip and no belts were going to flip. And there was no in between. But it turned out no belts flipped.
So that side of the internet was right.
Yes.
I probably would have ventured, if I were to bet money on it, I would have been with that side of the internet.
Yeah.
But I was hoping that I would be wrong.
I thought at least one would. I mean, like you said, the cruiserweight title, I mean, who cares?
Yeah, nobody cares. So, enough about wrestling. We've talked about wrestling for probably about as long as the greatest Royal Rumble match lasted.
Well, one last question.
Okay,
it's wrestling related. It has nothing to do with the greatest Royal Rumble. Do you think the John Cena-Nikki Bella breakup is a work? Because I do.
You think it's a work?
I think it's a total work.
It's a work.
It's
Why?
for the show. It's gotta be for the show.
For the Total Bellas?
Yes. Because they filmed the breakup. It's getting a lot of news coverage.
Yeah.
And at the Greatest Royal Rumble, John Cena got to the mic and said, when life beats you down and stuff in your personal life is going bad, you just gotta keep on moving or something. He said that like after he beat Triple H or whatever. But I think it's a work.
I don't. I actually don't think it's a work. I really don't.
We'll see. But
It is a great angle for the Total Bellas show.
Yeah.
But I still don't really think it's a work. Like, do you think Tristan Thompson cheating on Khloe Kardashian's a work?
I don't think the cheating is a work. I think the time it came out was a work. Because it was like the day that she gave birth or whatever.
When's the next season of Total Bellas coming out?
Like 2 months or something. They're filming it now. It comes out in a couple months.
So, I mean,
just like the Kardashians comes out in a couple months, they're filming it now.
It is getting a ton of coverage. Every time when I go into work and like early, some idiot always changes the channel to Fox 8, right? And they have that show The Real, which is basically a fucking poor woman's version of The View. Okay. And they were talking about it on there. But they were actually defending John Cena on it. So.
What were they saying? Do you know?
They were talking about his contract that stated that Nikki had to move out, basically, if there were ever to be a breakup. And they were kind of mostly on John's side there. That, like, yeah, like with introducing a contract to a relationship. One of them said that like she basically has a contract for relationships. Well, it was a contract for moving in. It was like kind of like a lease or whatever. Mm-hmm. But she also said that she does a similar thing now, not 90 some pages that John Cena did, but you know, he's a rich, famous guy. And I mean, Nikki Bella's a rich, famous girl, but I don't think she's anywhere near the level of John Cena.
Right.
As far as fame and notoriety is concerned. And I would argue to say that a lot of Total Bella's audience, myself included, I would never watch that show. And I don't actively watch it, but if it's on, I don't turn it off.
I don't know if I've ever seen an episode of it.
It comes on WWE Network sometimes when I have the live stream on.
Uh-huh.
And I'll sit and watch it because John Cena's there and Daniel Bryan's there.
Yeah.
So, like, I watch it for them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to think that some more of the audience is into that too. It's like, well, I want to see a reality show with John Cena in it.
Yeah.
You know, so. Anyways, enough about wrestling. Unless you want to say anything else.
No, but I know wrestlers are kind of like the superheroes of this generation, and we got a new superhero trailer that has...
An anti-hero trailer.
An anti-hero that has surfaced on the internet. It's for Venom. It's not through Disney. It's through Sony.
Yeah.
It's through the original, where the original Spider-Mans came out. What'd you think of this trailer?
I thought it was good. I thought it was a really good trailer. Based on what we've seen from Venom in film.
Film up to this point.
Up to this point, I thought that this was a pretty, based on the trailer alone, a pretty loyal adaptation of the character. The only gripe I have with it is the gripe that I had with it going in was that he was not introduced in a Spider-Man film, creating that connection between him and Spider-Man.
Correct. I thought the trailer was very well done. Tom Hardy, obviously, he's got chops. He does what he does. I don't know if it's
When's the Mad Max? Are they ever going to do another Mad Max?
I would imagine. But
the last one was great.
It was very good.
Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say was the only complaint that I had, and I don't know if I'm in the minority on this, I don't know if you agree, when the CG comes onto his face, it looks like piss.
You think so?
Oh, man.
I think
not when it gets on. When it's on, it's fine. When it's coming on, it looked like piss.
Okay, maybe I'll have to go back and...
I thought it did at least.
And watch that. I think that most fans, myself included, because I'm a fan of the character, were really just kind of focusing on what it was going to look like when it came on. And also... Well, they put the final look right in the thumbnail, which I thought was a mistake.
Yeah.
Because you really built some tension there when it's coming up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you could have got a different
any
thumbnail.
teaser trailer or just trailer could have cut it off right before it finally comes down and you see that final look.
Yeah.
So, like...
They want to get the views.
Or they would cut it off right there and still show it.
But
they would cut it off, show the title of the film,
and then at the end,
and then it would just do a quick shot of him
for like a split
flexing or something like that, or
like
whatever.
A split second.
My concern with the trailer, and it's probably just the trailer, is that it shows a lot of action in it without actual Venom, suit on. It's a lot of just Tom Hardy shooting black shit out of his chest.
But again, you don't want to blow your load too early.
Yeah, you don't want to blow your load too early, and I hope that that's what they're going with, because I hope that this doesn't turn out to be one of those superhero movies where Tom Hardy's like, and I would like to believe that he wouldn't do this because he said to the fans in a personal message to the fans that I'm trying my hardest to make this the best film. Like the best Venom that you could possibly
you've ever seen,
yeah. And so I would like to think that he wouldn't be the guy that says, especially in this day and age where superhero movies are so much more common, but the guy that says, I don't want my face to be covered up. I want to be seen.
Yeah.
That was a big thing.
Well,
back
Tom
in the day,
Hardy.
what?
Tom Hardy's the exact opposite of that because 90% of his movies, his face is covered up. Bane.
Yeah, Bane. Yeah.
Mad Max. He was in Dunkirk.
When was his face covered up in Mad Max?
The entire time, except for like 10 minutes. He's
Really?
wearing that mask that whole time. Well, not the whole. Like at the beginning, he's wearing the whole.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then he was in Dunkirk, and the entire time he's like a pilot of a plane, and he's wearing a pilot's mask the whole time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the thing. One other, I don't know if it was a concern or maybe it's just my misremembering of the original comics, but did it talk to him?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
The symbiote talks to him.
Okay, I always thought it was more like implied and through visuals. I don't remember ever having like a voiceover.
You know what I didn't like was the pronunciation of symbiote or symbiote.
Yeah, I understand. Yes. Yeah.
And it just kept going back to that doctor, and she just kept saying it over and over in the trailer, and I was just like, oh, that's cringe right there. Like, I don't know if it's really a mispronunciation or not, but if I recall correctly, in the like 90s animated cartoon and possibly like the other cartoons that Venom has been in, it was pronounced symbiote.
Yeah, that's the way I always thought it was.
That's usually the way I've heard it.
Hey, but it could just be like when they made the live action Avatar. It's not Aang, it's Ong.
Okay.
That was sarcasm, by the way. That was complete bullshit.
Wait, they don't call him Ong in
They
that?
call him Ong. That's not his fucking name.
Okay.
They call him Ong. Shyamalan didn't know what he was doing, man.
Yeah, well, I will argue that... actually, no, because Avatar is, like, Chinese-based, so I think maybe Aang probably is the right pronunciation.
Yeah.
Whereas Ong would never be said in Japanese, but is, like, the way you would pronounce your A's would be so...
Well, that wasn't even made in
Japan.
Yeah, it was made in America.
Yeah, it's like an American take on anime, basically.
Yeah.
What was another example that I was going to think of? I
About
can't remember.
the trailer?
No.
Just in general?
Just like
Tomato incidents?
Yeah. Whatever. I thought I had one on the tip of my tongue, but it's gone now. We have more. I'm excited for the Venom movie. I've been waiting for a Venom movie for a long time. They really Jewed him over. They really screwed him over.
They really Jewed him over.
They really screwed him over, and God damn it, they really screwed him over in
Spider-Man 3.
In Spider-Man 3, and so yeah, that was bad, and I really wanted to like it at the time. Again, big gripe is that how are they ever going to cross him over with Spider-Man if
they don't?
If the whole thing, like, why didn't Spider-Man have the symbiote first? That's the way the way I learned about it was like Spider-Man like went to space or something and got a new suit. Yeah, he got that. Yeah. But I mean, there's been several adaptations later that I think probably have told the story better.
Yeah.
Where, the symbiote or whatever, I'm just going to say symbiote because that's what I always thought, kind of lands on Earth and finds its way to Spider-Man.
Right.
And then it's on him. And then it kind of does what it does. And eventually he just doesn't want to deal with it anymore. He breaks the bond. And then it falls onto Eddie Brock, who also has legitimate beef with Spider-Man based on... I think he has beef with Peter Parker, but... Then his bonding with the symbiote reveals Spider-Man is Peter Parker based on the symbiote's knowledge of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're ever going to pull that off. Maybe they won't even try.
Spider-Man's just not involved.
Yeah, it's just Venom has his own deal going. Maybe he'll cross over with because Deadpool's Fox. So who fucking knows what they're going to do?
I mean, this is probably just gonna have to be a standalone series. I mean, you can't have Spider-Man in it. You can't have it.
You can have Spider-Man in it because Sony still owns the rights to Spider-Man.
I mean, you could theoretically. I don't know how it's going to compete with the other Spider-Mans and have two Spider-Man series going on under different brands.
I could see them doing the eventual Spider-Man versus Venom. But the problem is that like you need to make sure that there are elements in this movie that
Allow it to happen.
Yeah. Where it's not you're just throwing two people together, two movies together, and hoping that it'll work.
But who knows? Disney could buy Sony, and then none of this will even matter.
In other movie news, a poster has been released, an official poster for the upcoming Halloween.
This is true.
The upcoming Halloween sequel, I guess we can say. Or reboot or remake or whatever the fuck. It's not a remake.
It's a remake of the H2O, sort of. I mean, takes place.
It's like kind of the same concept.
It's a retelling
into the future.
Yeah.
Except in this one, Halloween 2 never happened.
True. Which some debate that in H2O Halloween 2 also never happened. I like to think it did, but some people say Halloween 2 did not take place in the same. It was not canon or whatever.
Well, they never make mention of that guy that Jamie Lee Curtis ends up kind of being with in Halloween 2.
Well, they'll never, and
he, I'm pretty sure in 4 and 5 was kind of revealed to be Jamie's dad.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm not sure.
But also in H2O, they say that Michael was gone, like he disappeared. He was never seen again. But at the end of Halloween 2, he's obviously burnt to a crisp. I don't know how you lose him after that. But so that's why some people think that it takes place.
My thing with H2O though is that it ties directly into Halloween Resurrection, and in that they kind of play it off like brother and sister. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
so
because she kisses him at the end. She's like, "Love you, brother," and then
love you, brother. Yeah, and it wasn't like a good brother kind of moment. Like, So, I don't know. It's my thing with it. Halloween 2 not existing is it's dumb for one because Halloween 2 is a good movie.
Yeah,
it's pretty much appreciated by every fan of the franchise.
Yeah.
And 2, why in the fuck? I think we brought this up on the show before, but why in the fuck would Michael Myers come back after Jamie Lee Curtis after 40 years if there's no sort of relationship between them?
Yeah, she's the one that got away. Loomis is dead.
So did Tommy Doyle and the fucking other girl.
I know. Well, he went and got them eventually.
And
no, he didn't.
And Loomis got away too, apparently, unless they're just saying he died of old age.
I would assume.
This movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
You can't bring back Donald Pleasance because he really did die.
This is true.
Pretty much old age.
Shortly after Halloween 6, he was done. No more sequels. Yeah. So,
do you think if Donald Pleasance was still around that he would have been in H2O?
I think if Donald Pleasance was still alive, they would have made Halloween 7 and Halloween 8. I don't think they would have stopped until he died.
Okay. You think they still would have been doing the crazy
Halloween
thing?
Halloween 6 kind of ends on a cliffhanger. You see the syringe and the mask and a scream. You don't know what's going on.
You know what's going on. Come on now. So the new poster's out, buddy. You've seen the poster.
Looks like Michael Myers to me.
What do you think of it? What do you think?
It's his face. There's blackness around it.
I'm kind of like on the fence about the poster, and I'm a more hardcore Halloween fan than I think that you are. But I don't like the idea that they're going with this kind of like old, like kind of worn down mask. It's like it's not the same exact design, but it's the same concept that Rob Zombie just went for.
This is true, yeah.
And it's like, man, we just kind of did that. Like, why are you going back to that? I don't think that Rob Zombie's look is like anybody's favorite Michael Myers look to be like.
No, I don't think anyone. Well, I'm sure some people, but the vast majority don't.
To be fair, it's not as beaten down as the Rob Zombie one.
That's true. Is the idea supposed to be it's the same mask? Because it doesn't exactly look like the same exact mask from the
I
old
think
ones.
it is the same mask. I think it is still
It's
the
still
Shatner
it's supposed to
mask.
be the same idea. Yeah.
Another problem I have with the poster is just kind of the design was just really lacking imagination.
Yeah, I mean
And
it's basic.
it's-
I mean,
I thought that, you're doing a revisit to an old franchise. You really could have did like a cool, badass kind of throwback style movie poster for
Yeah.
this that would have like got some nostalgia going for literally just another fucking jack-o'-lantern poster probably would have been better than what we got here.
yeah.
And revealed less, but I think they wanted to kind of do this like
Here he is.
marketing campaign like this is the reveal, this is the mask.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the Michael Myers mask. And oh look, it's worn down just like fucking Rob Zombie did.
Yeah.
Good job.
I don't think it's going to be the last poster, but I think as the first official one it could have been a little more exciting. Or like you said, something that teases it even further so when the mask is revealed.
Midnight Miles had a really cool concept that he said, and I don't really remember the details of it, but I'll give you my basis of it, and like where I would take my creative vision from it is a shot, right? Let's do a shot of the Myers house.
Okay.
The Myers house, but in between Michael Myers' legs.
Legs. Okay.
So you can kind of see that he's standing there, right?
Yeah, he's
So you
standing-
get
he's
the
standing-
back of his legs,
and you can
through
see-
it.
you see the house.
You see like the Myers house
yeah.
or whatever. And so like that to me right there is kind of like a throwback style, like whatever.
Yeah.
And like hell, you could have even had like maybe even go another angle from it. You see the Myers house and it's the back of his hand and he's holding the kitchen knife.
I was going to say
You know what I mean? Like
I mean, it would give away more, but you could even, like, depending on how big the house is and how far away he's standing from the house, you could do, like, a full, like, silhouette, or maybe just the back of the head, you see the hair or something.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, there are many ways you could have done that concept. But yeah, I would have, personally, I think the kitchen knife would have been a good,
Yeah.
like, you see the knife, and then the house is in the background, it's, like, from, like, waist level is the poster.
do the fucking the goofy one where it's just the kitchen knife like this and just the hand, so not even the house or anything, but just a big kitchen knife in hand. On the reflection of the knife, you see like a terrified Jamie Lee Curtis or something like that.
That'd be a good one.
Or maybe even the house, or maybe like a jack-o'-lantern or something stupid like that.
Or Michael Myers in selfie mode would have been better than what we got. He's just like smiling.
Maybe the mask. If you wanted to reveal the mask in the hand, and he's holding the mask in his hand.
Yeah.
And it's kind of from like the side down. Or whatever.
There are many ways you could have done it than just, okay, here's the mask and it's a plain black
background. I feel
Yeah.
like that shot in horror movie posters has been done
It's been done
a
with
billion
Halloween.
times
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed, and that is not. It's not a poster I would hang on my wall.
No.
No. And I have a lot of posters on my wall. Basically, probably the only reason I would ever own that poster is if I got it for free from a movie theater.
Yeah. That's how I get most of my posters. Well, when I did get posters, but I don't know. Yeah, it was average. It was basic.
Yeah.
It's not much to say. So, what do you want to talk about next week?
Next week?
Any ideas?
I don't know.
We're gonna see where this week takes us.
Yeah, next week is next week, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had one night. We had like 3 celebrity deaths this week. Were you aware of?
What
Well,
were
not
they?
Lee Harvey Irving or whatever his name was from Full Metal Jacket. The guy, some singer that I was not aware of, like Avicii or something. Apparently, he's a big deal. I never heard of him. And
Where?
I recognized the song when I looked up the song. I was like, okay, this is on the radio, but I had never heard of the guy's name who does the song.
Okay.
But it's a popular song. And the world's oldest person died at age 117.
Son of a bitch.
was an old
Yeah,
Asian lady.
He fought, or she
fought.
She fought hard.
That's true. But yeah.
So, for our poll this week, which one of these deaths is the most tragic? Which one touched you in the deepest way emotionally? Really just drove you to tears. We want to know. This isn't a competitive poll. We wouldn't dare compete over people's lives like that. But we want to know which death was the most tragic this week.
Jesus Christ. All right, on that note, I'm signing off. Craig Williams out.
Dynamite Buddy signing out. Signing off.